This also allows us to do GHG measurement and reporting for our customers, which is something that really isn't available in the market right now. And we put this all under a single green brand, Propel. The station, the top left, is a project of ours in the South Lake Union neighborhood of downtown Seattle, which is actually where the company started in 2004 in Seattle, Washington. There's a couple other pictures of what our deployments look like. Those are actually a couple Washington locations as well. So one of the things that we do today that we wonder about is, given there's 2.5, 3 million vehicles that are capable of using alternative fuels today in the state of California, about 25 million vehicles on the road, how do you find, even though that's a large enough number we believe to build a business, how do you find out where those customers are? And so we've developed a tool that allows us to collect data that informs us to where these consumers are, put in a little bit of special sauce around demographics and how these people like to travel, and come up with, gives us a visual of really where these vehicles are, what the consumers who are driving these vehicles' behavior is, and what they want to see, and how to get quick and easy access for them on the roads. This is, I guess, a map of Sacramento region. We believe in clusters as opposed to corridors. We believe that we know that the vast majority of vehicles that are alternative fuel capable drive in a route every day or very similar routes weekly, not long haul corridors. And really the only people that are driving long haul on a regular basis are truckers, which are the most price sensitive group. Fuel is such a large portion of their business. We don't think that's the right place to try to sell, potentially a value-added low carbon fuel product. When we put together a map of an area that we'd like to go into and build a cluster of alternative fuel sites, we have data for every single vehicle location, flex fuel and diesel in the state, and all the vehicle categories of light duty up through all the heavy duty classes. We understand, you see these sort of trapezoidal looking things are what we call drive times. So we have 6 and 12-minute drive times around what we think are the best or most central locations. Any of you that have ever used Google Earth before probably know that we can then zoom all the way down to a street level view. So we have sales guys that the only thing they do is work in this system to find out exactly where the right stations are that we will be best positioned to go and do deals with those location owners. So we can secure a lot of locations in a very small amount of time. In the last 60 days, we've deployed 5 sites in the Sacramento area. Here are pictures of the 5 locations we call our sort of phase 1 of our Sacramento cluster. Citrus Heights, Rockland, Elk Grove, and a couple of Sacramento locations. We intend to build more in the Sacramento area. But the project was really what brought us into the Sacramento region initially was the local air quality management district that was deploying some E85 grant funds. And we took that money, leveraged that to build both biodiesel and E85 at these locations. So these are all underground tank, split tank locations that sell E85 and biodiesel. We can co-locate with major brands. So if you're, as I said, branded independent stations are a large portion of the stations that you see out there are independently owned, but they're major branded, which means that the station, the owner himself owns the land, and so he can sell other products on that land. Generally, that's not under the major's canopy, which they consider their territory with long-term fuel supply agreements. So you can see in this instance, we've set up next door to a Shell canopy. We also do what we call non-traditional sites. This one is a public site. This is a biodiesel-only site in Seattle, in the Ballard neighborhood of Seattle, Washington. Above ground tank. This deployment, small canopy, LED lighting, card reader on the left, dispenser with a pump on the right. This takes us about a week to 10 days on site to build at that. It's really, everything's prefabricated. It's a matter of drying the concrete slab. Takes about 6 days, and the rest of it is really just drop and assemble and put it on our network and turn it on. We did, as I mentioned, we started in Seattle and have been working in that region. We recently moved our headquarters. We're still active in that region and Oregon as well, but moved our headquarters to Sacramento. We think the timing is right for California to begin to make some serious progress on the carbon issues. We've also been very impressed by the state's fleet's willingness to become customers of a business like ours. And we think one of the strongest signals that public agencies can do and the state can do to encourage clean technology economies of growth is to become a customer of those technologies and take that risk. With that sort of base load revenue, it becomes a lot easier for companies to come in and deploy technologies and low carbon solutions. And there's a bit of a regulatory premium to do business in California. I think everybody understands that, but I think that can be overcome. For instance, the Department of General Services and Caltrans are visiting our sites. We've been open, just a few weeks. The state of Washington still doesn't buy it from us, and we've been open for years. And so it makes the decisions for us that much easier where we're going to focus our resources when you have the state as a customer. When we work, if you notice, we also have a number of private business fleets that we work with as well. We believe that when you ask a business, we're talking about fuel, which is a very expensive cost of doing business and one that is now today very managed in most businesses. When you ask them to use an alternative fuel, you have to provide them with a better fuel management solution. You can't ask them to take a step backwards or sacrifice too much in order to use alternative fuels. We believe you have to provide them with the same level of service that they're used to or a step forward. In that regard, we offer a full fleet service card or fuel card. This one's in partnership with Bright Express, but we also take all the fuel cards that are out there. We're working closely right now with Voyager, which is the fuel card the state of California uses, is trying to work through some issues there as well. As I mentioned earlier, owning a network, we do all the transactions for all of our sites, allows us to do some interesting things. One of the most interesting things I personally think that we're doing is a product we've developed, a software product called Clean Drive, which is a GHG monitoring software product. There's a demo on our website you can check out, but essentially these are screen captures. You create an account online like you would an online bank account, put in your credit card numbers or your fleet card numbers. It's all highly secure. And we will tally your progress by using alternative fuels towards whatever goals you may have, so you can actually visualize the meaning of your choices. And again, in fueling, something we haven't really thought much about. It's also something that you don't really have an opportunity to interact with much, other than your time spent at the gas station where you sort of fill up and maybe you're pissed about the pricing, or maybe today it's not so bad, so you're not pissed about the pricing. But you go home and you see, there's climate change issues you see on the news, you see resource, issues in the Middle East, and it's very hard to connect the dots for most consumers to really, what can I do in my life today to make a positive impact on these things that I don't want to be a part of? So we hope that this is starting to move in that direction to allow people to participate in their choices, especially on the fueling side, a little more fully. We believe that we have to start today, fundamentally. We also believe that there's going to be much better technologies being deployed in the future, hopefully in the near future. We think a critical path to get there is to have buyers of these fuels and technologies. So we consider ourselves a low-carbon fuel platform, not, say, a corn ethanol seller or a soy biodiesel retailer. We work pretty closely with the second-generation fuel developers, with the fuel cell partnership on the H2 side, with the EV guys, to help understand when these technologies are going to be ready, where these customers will exist, and how to get the technologies in those customers' hands. That's really our mission overall. So you could say we're fuel agnostic, but we do truly believe that even today's biofuels are better than petroleum, and if we continue to not start anywhere, we just get further and further down the road, continuing to be disenfranchised. We're ambitious. As I said, we've opened 5 stations in Sacramento, 6 stations in Seattle. We would like to see 500 Propel stations over 5 years in the next 5 years in California. Certainly the state could support that easily, we believe. So we hope that it's not us, and it can be a collection of a lot of other folks that are at least deploying that many sites and get that much low carbon fuel into the hands and into the tanks of the vehicles that could